Hi, everybody. Welcome to this discussion on how we could empower the teaching of foundation courses. I have with me three very experienced, senior, and highly respected colleagues Dr. Sukrita Paul Kumar, Dr. Shobha Bagai, and Dr. Pankaj Tyagi. And each one of them has a unique and highly acknowledged, well respected methodology of how they have been teaching undergraduates, particularly in the context of the foundation courses. And if we recount the methodology, the philosophy of the foundation courses is largely hands-on. And when you talk of hands-on activities, then obviously students have to work on applications of knowledge, and that requires project work. And of course, projects can come in many shapes, many sizes, and they can have many methodologies. So I wonder if each one of you would be willing to share a little bit of your own insights on how you have taken forward this project work. And we could begin with some brief introduction where you lend your perspective to what this is, and then we'll take this forward into more engaging ways. So Sukrita, would you like to tell us what this is about?
Yeah, unlike college teaching, conventional college teaching, which I had been doing for a number of years, when I came to Cluster Innovation Center and studied the course content and realized that nearly 60% of it was really hands-on activity, which we needed to generate between ourselves, which is the mentors and the students. And particularly from the point of view of literature, which is my subject, I had always thought of classroom as very sacred and thought of, okay, understanding life, but literature, how to study literature and critical perspectives, etc., was the classroom activity and library activity. But I realized that there was a need to get out of the classroom much more than what is generally done in conventional teaching. And what we've been doing at Cluster Innovation Center, and I take care of BTech Humanities, and I realized that humanities projects would mean really connecting life with knowledge making, and actually knowledge making to be really taken into the context of experiential experience of life itself, and then design projects accordingly and work out objectives. Now, how do we give a form to that? So we had to work at that very carefully, and looked at how humanities and the transdisciplinarity, not only within the so-called conventional category of humanities was important, but we needed to move out of humanities, and BTech Humanities needed to really connect up with BTech Innovation, mathematics, etc., and how everything needed to come together holistically. And so we had to really unlearn quite a lot of the conventional mode and come into the classroom with the idea that we have to go beyond the classroom. And so in order to go beyond the classroom, we had to first look at what are the problems that we are encountered with, because generally what problems we encounter in the society is always a discussion in the either in the staff room or in the seminar rooms or in the drawing rooms at home. But to talk about problems, life problems, and then look at how we could contribute, own them, and then contribute towards the solutions, meant that we engage with these problems. So identification of the problem first and foremost, and keeping the learner in the center of it, and then working out the objectives was very easy then, because immediately everybody thought, okay, if we are dealing, for instance, with the hearing impaired women, for instance. So we were looking at that, and immediately, students started saying, well, one of them said, what happens? How do they go and lodge complaints in the police station? And so there you are, there was a problem. They went and did a survey. So we worked out a methodology around it. So conceptualization, objectives, problem solving, and at the same time use of technology within that format.
So I can see therefore that, yes, so you've done a lot of moving out. I can see that, moving out of the box and moving out in actual terms, physical terms. And also you sort of recognize that there is this movement between disciplines. But I'll come back to you later on this, Sukrita. But what I'd like you to think about is, in these experiences, this kind of experiential existence that the student is having, I'd like you to think and let us know in due course of this discussion, where is this knowledge component being imbibed by the student, and what sort of knowledge is it in terms of the student's long-term perspective on life? So I'd like a little bit of insight on that. But Shobha, would you have something to add or change or speak in your own terms on your experiences as?
My discipline basically is mathematics, and somewhere along the line, we were always taught mathematics. We kept teaching mathematics in a very conventional form, that this is the course given to us, these are the problems, and you solve the problems without actually going into it that where exactly is it being applied. Now, once this whole idea came that you have to have, projects, you have to make the students understand that what you are learning within the four walls of the classrooms is actually being applied, was quite a challenge initially, even for us being a teacher, because we were not exposed to these kinds of things.
Is it four walls of the classroom or just the single wall where the blackboard is?
Yes, sometimes it could just be the single wall where the blackboard is.
So
that's
it's blackboard
absolutely
centric,
true.
right?
Yeah. Over the time that we have been at CIC, and in some way when we were even involved into the foundation courses, what we also learned as a teacher was that it's much more exciting to learn when you are actually seeing, the use of what you are doing either on the blackboard or on the paper pencil. It's something like that, that there is a child, you have a toy, but you tell the child, this toy is kept over here, you can't access it, see it, understand it, that's it.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it, yeah. The excitement, I think, in a child only comes at when he has this toy in his hand, And
What about her hand?
Yeah, it could be her hand also, their hands basically. So that is one thing that, we as a teacher, it was a learning for us as a teacher that it's much more useful. The students learn in a much, much better way if you give them the base and then you leave them outside. That look, go out, learn. We are there at your back, that if you have a problem, you can come to us and understand it. And as Sukrita said, that interdisciplinarity is a must, because if you're looking at a problem, say for example where maths is being applied, I cannot perceive a problem in mathematics sitting in four walls. I need to go out into the society, I need to know about the economic conditions, I need to know about the social conditions, I need to know about the political conditions before I actually come and think about it, that how do I translate it into the mathematics term and what is the kind of solutions that we give. And we did certain experiments with the students at CIC, and we did have a good response from them.
So generally you are sort of positive about this.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's nice to hear. And so you also feel that the blackboard is needs to be its importance needs to be decreased a little bit, diminished a little bit, that way?
It
Okay.
needs to be decreased to quite some extent.
Well, Pankaj, you come from a discipline that has both a strong theoretical component and a strong practical component. And so for you, was this sort of an easy exercise moving into this philosophy that we have here? You know how the foundation courses are designed. One, they have to have some connection, significant connection with the challenges and needs of India and Indian society. Then they must be transdisciplinary, and they must have a hands-on component so that students experience firsthand practical applications of knowledge, keeping this larger perspective of the challenges of India. I think a discipline like electronics should fit in very, very nicely on all these counts. But what do you have to say of that?
Sir, the thing is this, that this foundation courses, the way the change they have brought, basically we have to see this aspect that they are bringing a change in the pedagogy, the way we are teaching for so long and the way we have to teach for coming years. The main change which I am perceiving and which is taking place is this, that this hands-on and innovation projects, they are providing us a way in which we can connect with the students. Earlier pedagogy of teaching on the blackboard was not giving that flexibility and the freedom where we can connect with the students directly and involve with them to solve the problems of the society. So now what we are doing is, when we are teaching any subject, for that matter we can take of any of them, when we are discussing a subject, we are not only talking about the subject only, we are talking about its relevance to the society, and that is making them interesting also, because what was happening earlier till school level and even at the undergraduate level, there was only learning and not knowing that what is the use of this all knowledge is gaining. So what now they are immediately finding is, okay, if I am suppose learning information technology, where can I apply this? What is the use of this? Can I have an application of this tomorrow only? So they don't have to wait for this, that first they will learn and then they will go on later.
So could you give an example, Pankaj,
Yes,
of
sir.
where you worked on a project where these specific features and characteristics that we are looking for seem to fit into the project?
Okay, sir, I will take up a example that will be from our Meta College program, Meta University program, which we are doing with the Jamia Millia Islamia, that is Master of Mathematics Education. Even though that is at a master level, but even then, because the innovation projects were introduced there also for the first time, and when we had that first batch, initially we asked all of them to conceive some of the projects. I tell you, that was the freedom which was given to them for the first time, and they came up with a very large number of different ideas which even sometimes the teachers cannot perceive. If I quote you, for example,
Yeah, tell us,
they
please.
came up with the ideas that making mathematics accessible to children with special need, with special reference to visually impaired. I don't think that ever anybody who is studying in a college has ever done something for the society in that manner. So they start thinking in that manner, okay, if mathematics has to be taught to visually impaired, can I help? Can I develop some methodology or some techniques for that? And they really worked for a whole semester on that, and they came up with this. What happened during that also is, because they interacted with visually impaired students also, so they connected with the society also. They really felt sympathetic, not only sympathetic, they also feel that we have a responsibility to do something for them as well. So that really brings a charm in them to do something different. And they might, another thing is, because that was a Jamia, students were also involved in that, they did a project on shaping potential in mathematics among Muslim girls. Now, the state of education which they really want to improve in Muslim girls, so the students really went to the schools, right, where these madrasas which they call, and there they interacted with these girls. They really found them, they are also interested in learning a lot, and lots of things can be done. So they interacted with them, they find out what are their problems, and they suggested that pedagogical change to the teachers also.
So let me ask you, so if I understand you correctly, what you're trying to tell us is these students are students of mathematics education. For them, their primary aim is to imbibe knowledge in mathematics education. And you're trying to tell us that when they go out into the field and they encounter these girls or they encounter those special needs students, in the process of enabling them, their own ideas of mathematics education are improving.
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, one thing happened is that presently they are doing a NCERT. They have developed a mathematical kit, and our students are going to the different schools to train the teachers about that mathematical kit. Now our students are also getting the knowledge of that kit, and they are saying that they can improvise over that kit. So that make it more
so
useful.
can you give me a specific example? You know, nothing like, and I'd like to go back to Sukrita on this count particularly. So, you know, I'm a mathematician, and when we deal with mathematics and mathematical concepts, nothing like illustrating with an example, any idea or definition or application. And in this context, that actually knowledge gets imbibed in a better way through this business of engaging with a practical hands-on situation in a transdisciplinary manner. If you could illustrate this with one specific example, it would go a long way.
Yeah, I think it's very significant to realize that point, because otherwise it looks as though we're just getting them into practicals, you know, and there is no theory. That's not true.
Incidentally, so when you mentioned practical, you know, that's a word that gets me going. I don't know what your experiences were. But ever since I can remember, from my school days, we had these practicals which were so regimented and so rigid in their whole, layout, their structure.
Absolutely.
You were not allowed to touch chemicals without anybody's permission. You
Yeah.
weren't allowed the freedom to mix things or take wires and fit them somewhere
Yeah.
or do something outside the given prescribed format. And the whole purpose of science is to learn through things that are unknown. If you know everything, what's the point?
Yeah.
Now that part has been missing, and I'm very sort of disappointed to say, to a significant extent, even in our university system, there is scope for improvement. In that context, Sukrita, can you tell us
Yeah,
something?
precisely. So I was saying that this disconnect between the practical and theoretical, which was kind of quite ridiculous to me. And we were looking at, some couple of students who came to me and they said, well, they wanted to do something in history. And they were very intrigued as to how to go about it in terms of what can we do in hands-on in history, So immediately we thought of, and incidentally they were also interested in technology in a big way. So we thought, okay, why not think in terms of making films? It doesn't mean high technology of any kind, but basic camera, etc. And also take on, say, the monuments which are around the university itself, around the campus. And it came to our mind, well, we could start with the Viceregal Lodge, and we could also continue to do something on the Flagstaff, etc. But what seemed like, just some terms, first of all, the students were not even familiar with the historical context of these buildings. But apart from that, knowledge came alive to them when we said, first go do research on this, what these buildings are, what are they all about. So they went down the historical lane, so as it were.
Okay, so suppose,
Lot of
Sukrita, you
research.
had to do this on the board or by dictating notes in a
Yeah,
classroom.
yeah.
What could have gone wrong?
I think it wouldn't have. First of all, I think to me knowledge has to throb, and if you do it on the board, you immediately begin to see after the first 10 minutes or so of teaching that there is a kind of inertia developing in the class and there is a wariness and so on. So how does it become dynamic? So knowledge became dynamic for them, history became dynamic. And in this group, and we insist that it has to be a group project, which I think is fantastic.
Also, they have to work in groups.
They have to work in groups.
You can't be on your own, right?
Yeah, which is fantastic. So if there were two of them who were saying history, there were two who were saying that they were not interested in history initially. And they said, we are technology people, we want to handle, maybe just the cameras. But it doesn't work. How can you handle the camera unless you know where the perspective, which approach you need to have? So all of them had to get together to understand how technology can be made to use in a historical project, and how do you go down the memory lane, how do you use the library, how do you bring that on board in an interesting way, how do you construct a narrative, how do you do scripting, how do you understand the freedom movement for that matter. Because the moment they entered the Viceregal Lodge, they understood, wow, there was Bhagat Singh there for a day. So they had to understand all about Bhagat Singh. They got hold of a professor from the university.
Did you ask them that to understand a little more, they should spend one night in that cell?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would have made it even better. You
Yeah,
have probably get an idea of what it feels like.
And that's a very interesting thing to say, because when the first time we went there, I remember one of the students saying, oh, we must get this whitewashed and properly done up because there's going to be shooting. I said, no, in fact, perhaps we have to create the impact of old times. So, designing a lot of things, how the imagination runs, it may run in a very standardized way, how to cultivate a certain kind of a scene which is standardized. So how do you de-standardize that? So lots of things, in fact, learning had to become unlearning, things like that. However, what I'm trying to say is that the input in terms of the individual perception going along with a group, collectively, how are you interacting with each other, and we are actually marking them on group activity. And to my mind, peer learning is fantastic because it comes together on the table, and they're using libraries.
They're a little less shy.
They're much less shy. They're also going to outside agencies. For instance,
they become bolder when they go outside in groups, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And we have now, we thought eventually that we need to have external mentors as well. So for instance, for this project that I mentioned, they had to go to IGNCA, and we have 2 mentors from there who are helping them out with this project. So they also get to know what the resources are, what resources are available for research.
Right. So that's quite interesting the way you put it. You know, there are some other aspects of these foundation courses. So one, and I'd like you to sort of think of this thought experiment that we will discuss now. So I have had some feedback from faculty that there are too many projects happening in too many of the foundation courses, and the students could be getting a little distracted or disoriented because they can't focus. That's one part. The second part, is this truly always transdisciplinary in nature? And do you think, therefore, if it isn't, or if they're getting too distracted, one could focus on slightly larger projects that could have significant reach across all the foundation courses? And so in that context, I ask each one of you to give me briefly what your view would be on this favorite theme of mine. I've discussed this in many fora. It's just a thought experiment. I've discussed it, but I haven't really had it performed. Suppose I take a project which is ice making during the Mughal period and related issues about ice making. Okay. Now, do you think this is a project on history? Is there any physics in it? Is there any economics in it? Is there something beyond that? And can we think of some other value additions to this project so that foundation courses get touched in different areas? So I'd like each one of you to speak on that, and Shobha, maybe you could start on this. So we are sticking to this, ice making and related issues. Ice making in the Mughal period and related issues.
Because
Where is maths in this? Think about that also.
the maths in it, you know, since you have come to that question, the first thing that comes to my mind is, how do you economically market the ice? What is your cost involved? What are your other incumbents involved? And at what price do you need to sell it so that you make a decent profit in it, you know? That's the first thing that comes in my mind, that how does the math comes in. The second thing is that suppose, you know, you have to transfer the ice blocks from one place to the other place, you know. How are you going to do it? Is there some optimum way in which the ice blocks can be transferred from a position to another position?
What about the shape of the ice?
The shape of the ice, that
Is
was
that
the next thing.
mathematics?
That's absolutely
So they
mathematics.
need to think
you know.
about that also.
They need to think about that also. And somewhere or the other, I think that, you know, in our society, and maybe even at that time, people are intuitively using this mathematics, not seeing that there is mathematics involved in it. Maybe they are not aware of it, or maybe they were not told about it. Maybe they have a phobia about maths and they don't want to think about it. They have these blinkers on, you know. So there is mathematics in it, and along with mathematics, there is of course the economy involved into it. Then maybe even, you know, the health aspect could come into it, you know, that is it
Also,
hygiene?
so there is a little bit of biology here, life sciences. You look at bacteria and
You look
stuff
at
like
bacteria.
that within the ice.
So I think even a small thing, and personally I have always felt that any project, any hands-on that is taken, it's best taken not in an isolation, you know, but it's best taken if you're involving different concepts, you know, from each other. Maybe in that way the learning is much better. You have a broader horizon to what you are doing in
So
fact.
here, if I understand you correctly, Shobha, in this business of ice making, this project, you feel the foundation course with math ability would have some perspective because data is involved here.
Data is involved into it.
And you also feel that the life sciences aspect of the science course would have something to do with this. And also, as you mentioned, a little bit about some physics there. And if there is physics there, Pankaj, what would be your perspective on this project?
Sir, the moment we will float this kind of projects, what comes to the mind of the students is, okay, they have to think of that how the ice is being made presently first. So that is the technique they have to imbibe first, and in that way they will try to learn the methodology. This is the part of the science, that how the science is being, and then they have to think this way, okay, this was being done so many years back, and so that means the technology was available earlier also. So how the change has come into the technology. So they can try to correlate with that, that how the technological change has taken place into that.
So there is, so the physics here would be very sort of varied.
Right.
The physics involved in ice making today is very different
Very
from the physics involved in ice making during the Mughal
Mughal.
period. And there was this economic factor, right? Because they didn't just make ice here in winter times at night, they also transported it from Kashmir. And then they used to store it outside Kashmiri Gate underground, you know, insulated with huge amount of hay and stuff like that. So there is physics there, the insulation, the transportation is a matter where you again insulate and
21 years
transport.
for that, right.
And also in the middle of the night, in the dead of winter, when you had such cold, you know, environment around you, there's some kind of physics there. That's one part. So there would be physics there, there would be mathematics. Shobha also mentioned a little bit about economics there. Sukrita, what do you think on this project? Would there be something connected with history?
Of course.
And what about language? Eventually, you have to
Yeah.
express this
Yeah.
project somewhere. Can you tell us
Absolutely.
something?
In fact, not just that, there's language and also, I think, report writing. And but before that, I think I would like to mention this, and you've already touched upon it. I mean, this whole question of history, and unless one goes into the processes, the way they have come to be, and the evolving of the idea and the conceptualization of it, why would it have happened? It might even take you to geography.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So
okay.
it might take you into
It may take you to
Yeah,
geography. That's
yeah.
also very well put.
And
yeah.
then, you know, if there's somebody particularly interested in it, then the whole context of where it would have emerged first, and is there, it could also take you into comparative historical contexts, you know. But was it imported from somewhere else? Did the Mughals bring the idea with themselves? Or was it indigenous to this particular area? So all kinds of questions depending on.
Incidentally, you know, when I began to research on this, because I had been fascinated with this for a long time. I was aware how the Mughals used to make ice here. But it was only recently I discovered that there is a practical prescription in the Bible on how
you
to
are.
make ice in the desert at night.
So there you are.
And it works. The
Yeah,
method is a
yeah,
practical
yeah,
method.
yeah.
So that again brings you history and
Absolutely,
physics
yes.
and the whole concept of mathematics. That's one part,
Yeah.
Sukrita. What about this language and other things?
Yeah, so, and I think one of the, this is a very big bane that we have in our education, the way it is currently, meaning in the last 2 or 3 decades, in spite of the fact that there is so much of focus on communication and languages and so on. But in the actual use of language, I think we are almost getting to either create a din or we are dumb. You know, so it's in between how we need to really
There's no middle part.
creatively use language, primarily because there isn't adequate focus on use of language. And I think my experience here is that you know, when we make our students write the report at the end, it's not just at the end because they're supposed to be giving us reports off and on during the semester, but at the end they consolidate the report. And we do say that it will make all the difference depending on how you are writing. So style comes up.
Yeah.
How are you communicating? How are you using language? Be it Hindi or English, we don't mind whichever language.
It could be a mix of the two.
Absolutely, provided that you reach out,
Yeah.
that you are able to make it, you know, both precise as well as beautiful. And the combination of the two, you don't have to create only fiction for it to be a beautiful style, you know. So I think it's a great learning experience for the child, for the student, even at the college level, because one would normally say, okay, they've got 12 years of training in language. But what kind of language? Because most of the times it's MCQs and, you know, yes,
Oh
no's.
yes,
And
I know what you
so
mean. Yeah.
it's, I think this is a big learning experience for them. And also, how do you organize your thought or your ideas? Report writing would also mean that. So even in management, you require it. And this is what I was telling a student just the other day, because he said, ma'am, the job has been done. We've done the project. Why do you want us to do the report?
Oh God.
You know, because we've already done it. The excitement has gone. I said, now in the doing of the report, you will also realize what you needed to have done more, which you perhaps haven't done.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because you're
I see what you
organizing.
mean about
Yeah.
that. So coming back to this project, I mean, can we use this project to highlight some of the features of how we could take the foundation courses, they're teaching, the pedagogical practices connected with them to a higher level. So do you think, for instance, a project such as this can then be flagged as a project that should be brought to the attention of teachers of foundation courses as a sort of illustration of how one large project will allow teachers from different foundation courses to connect, and that aspect of the project that is connected to that particular foundation course, for instance in ice making, the health aspect of ice goes into the life sciences foundation course, the mathematics goes into the math ability course, the physics goes into again the science course, the language presentation goes there, the history goes into the history course. So here's a project like this. Do you think we should create a library of such projects and keep adding and refreshing the library so that our faculty that teach in various colleges are able to then draw upon these resources or use them as illustrations where then they can design their own projects along similar lines?
I think that works very well, and it should, the experience that we have had at Cluster Innovation Center,
I want to bring that again because that's the experience we are all coming
the
up with.
way Pankaj and Sukrita and you talk about the Cluster Innovation Center, I have a feeling I'm missing something here.
No. Because I think maybe because we are more involved over there.
Maybe we need to change jobs and I need to move there and
Yeah,
you can come
please
and
come.
do something here. Anyway, tell us. here.
So the thing is, what we have, experienced is that since all the students, they're coming from this school environment where they are coming from that this is what is to be taught, this is what is to be examined, and that's it. You just need to trigger their thoughts. That look, here is a project. Because they all come with this project. Okay, what kind of a project? Now here is an example of a project of the ice making. And this could be treated in so many ways. And suddenly you see that their window starts opening. And they come
take
up,
off.
they come up with the ideas. So I
जैसे कटी पतंग को आसमान की हवा लग जाती है कभी-कभी उस तरह।
बट वो है कि थोड़ा सा कंट्रोल में रखना पड़ता है बहुत
वो
ज्यादा
कटी नहीं होनी चाहिए।
नहीं तो बिल्कुल उड़ जाएगी।
Absolutely.
So I think if such things are left with the students, and I'm not saying that even the faculty members, but I personally feel that a lot of such ideas then would start coming from the students themselves.
That's true. Students बहुत कहते हैं. I agree with you. बहुत कुछ students अपने से they take leaps.
And then they might come up with what they're observing around us and how that can be related to it. That triggers off their thought processes.
But
in fact.
Shobha, I've always felt that this may not happen initially because the unlearning hasn't happened till I think the first 2-3 months, till later.
Right.
Later, once they start thinking it's now a cliche thing, but out of the box kind of situation, when they know that they don't have to put reins on their imagination, then it becomes a problem. You're very right. How do you control it? Because you can't handle so many projects, but every second day they would have an idea about what can be done. And they have the energy to be able to do it as well. It's not as if it's not doable.
So we need to then, so you're saying that they sort of are bursting with all these things, after a while they take off,
Yeah,
right? And then
yeah.
they're bursting with ideas and thoughts and it could get out of hand also.
Yes.
Is there a danger of that?
Not really. Sir. Not
You,
really.
you keep some sort of control?
Yes, sir. Actually, what happens is during these projects, the important factor is that peer learning that enter into the thing. What happens is once you give them the projects, then they start learning because they are working in a group. They start working together, and if the group is heterogeneous and they have a different knowledge, then they try to say, okay, I know this, I can do this also. For example, if somebody is doing a project associated with IT, and he knows about the Android applications, he says, okay, we are doing on this, can we make an Android based application for this? So somebody, the one who doesn't know, he says, okay, that is also aspect which I can also learn along. So in that way, even though teacher may not be teaching that Android based application, but they among themselves start learning the things. So that way things happens.
Okay. So look, I mean, if we were to say, if I were to give you complete freedom, I'm speaking not simply as a moderator here in this show. I mean, I don't mean freedom in any other sense. Don't
We'll welcome
don't hold
it
me
anyway.
accountable later. So here, if you were to design your own version of foundation courses based on what